and welcome to Nelson All Over Cards. My name is Nelson and today we're doing the Hero Spotlight deep dive into the Vision Hero. Now we're going to be talking about his cards, we're going to talk about his cost curve, we're going to talk about our aspect rankings and in terms of what he's least good in to best good in, and then kind of talk about his overall ranking. And now this is going to primarily be a solo review, but we will kind of sprinkle some multiplayer thoughts in throughout, and I will specifically call those out when I do that. But then we're going to have a dedicated section at the end that we're going to be talking about Vision in a multiplayer setting. Now, all of those timestamps are going to be down below, so if you care or want to come back to a specific section, you absolutely can. So let's start off with the Alter Ego. In Alter Ego, he has a variable ability that plays with his mass form upgrade, which is put into play at setup, intangible side face up. This is a double-sided mass form that is kind of what Vision is built around. On one side we have the intangible form. It says that Vision cannot attack or defend, so he pretty much stinks. No, I'm just kidding. But it reduces the amount of damage that Vision takes from each attack by 2. When you flip that card over into dense form, Vision's hero gets +2 to his attack and to his defense, and has a response that says whenever you change to this form, you may draw a card. There's a lot going on for the hero side that plays around with that mass form, but the variable effects start here in Alter Ego. So when Vision is in dense form, he gets +2 recovery, up to a 5 recovery, which is pretty nice because he doesn't really want to be defending, and when we're reducing the damage by 2, some of that damage can sneak by, and 5 recovery is going to be a nice way to just pump that health all the way back up to his max of 11. When you are in intangible form in Alter Ego, you get +1 hand size. Now the timing works out here so that Vision's hand size in Alter Ego of 5 is locked in when you draw your initial cards at the start of the game. So you don't actually get 6 cards to start the game, but you can, because you start in intangible, flip up, change the mass form, and draw that 6th card. But that's something that tripped me up, so I wanted to pass along that because I didn't want it to trip you up as well. Vision has some Alter Ego support with his 616 Hickory Branch Lane. This is an Alter Ego action to search your deck and discard pile for an Android ally and add it to your hand. It's a really solid card. A 1-cost support that draws you a specific card is great, especially when that's an ally. Now we do have a decent number of Android allies in the card pool these days, but I'm pretty much always grabbing his signature ally Vivian here. 2-cost ally with a 1/1/2 stat line, boring until you read the ability. When Vision is in intangible form, she gets +2 thwart, and when he's in dense form, she gets +2 attack. This is an incredible stat line. Love the flexibility, and any ally that has 3 in a stat at 2 cost is amazing. And yes, I am lumping Hulk in here. I think Hulk is a fantastic ally. I won't apologize. One of the best builds out there just revolves around keeping Vivian recurred all the time. Putting Vivian on the table, utilizing that 3 thwart or attack, whichever you need, and it's flexible enough because you can just change forms and let Vivian do what she wants to be doing. Let's flip Vision up and talk about his hero side. He has a 2/0/0 stat line with a 5 hand size, but don't forget that when Vision is in dense form, he does get +2 to his attack and defense. So while in that form, he has a 2/2/2 stat line, which is way better than 2/0/0, but also right there in the realm of what we're expecting. His density manipulation action allows you to change your mass form once per round. This can help trigger cards like Density Control, that's a 1-cost upgrade, and tutors a Vision event from your discard pile when you change form. We are also probably swapping forms a good bit because his events / upgrades can matter what form we are in. So let's take Solar Beam for an example, which is one of the cards, and probably the main card that I'm grabbing with Density Control. It's a 3-cost attack thwart that says when he's in dense form, we deal 7 damage to an enemy, and while in an intangible mass form, we remove 5 threat from a scheme. Technically, this is under the efficiency curve that we're looking for, but we're giving up efficiency for flexibility, and I am more than happy to make that trade. I don't have to draw the attack or thwart event at the right time. It's a 1 card with both of those on there, and I will give up that efficiency for that flexibility. Another fun combo here is that we can use cards like Martial Prowess or Sense of Justice, which are restricted resource generators to help pay for this card regardless of what action we take, because it has both the thwart and attack keyword. For example, if we're in intangible mass form, we can still use the thwart action, paying for it with a Martial Prowess because it is attack traded. And it does call out you can pay for an attack event. This is an attack event. We're just using the thwart side. A fun little trick. Vision's Cape is a 2-cost upgrade that gives him Retaliate 1 in Dense form and then Stalwart in Intangible form. Very solid upgrade. I do wish the Retaliate was on the Intangible side where we could just take a ton of attacks and then ping a punch of damage, but I totally understand why they did not do that. But you can get stunned or confused and then flip to Intangible to just clear all the statuses, which is a really fun combo and a really strong combo because we are flipping fairly frequently. Then there are cards in his kit that can only be played in one form or the other, which can usually be pretty easy to hit that requirement, but can also be a slight issue if you draw into him if you've already switched. Like if you switch into Din's form, draw into a card that can only be played in Intangible form, that can be a little feel bad, but nice thing about Marvel Champions, use it as a resource. Super Dense Strike is a 2-cost attack event that can only be played in Dense form to deal 5 piercing damage to an enemy. I'm not 100% sure what the theming is here. I would love if someone helped me out there, but I don't know why he's getting piercing. But anyways, it's a nice attack event that meets our curve expectations, and we like it. Mass Increase is a 1-cost defense event that can only be played in Dense form. Now, quick note, because he cannot defend in Intangible form, I do think that these cards were printed before that the defense events were considered to be defending, which is why it's printed like this. But, or maybe it's just a reminder, I think it was actually kind of right around the same time, and Vision came out with a Protection Precon, which like almost didn't really work with his kit because they changed the rules right around that release timing. Maybe someone who has been in the game around that time. I was still really new when Vision came out, and so maybe someone can help me out there, but I think that's why that's there. But regardless, when he defends, you get to prevent all the damage from that attack and stun the attacking enemy after that attack resolves. I really like this effect. However, I don't love that you already have to be defending because it's an interrupt when you defend. I don't love defending with Vision, so I find that trigger a little difficult to hit. One of the cards that can only be played in Intangible form is Just Passing Through. For 1 resource, we get to remove 3 threat from his scheme, ignoring the Patrol and Crisis icon. Excellent value, and I love that most of our player side schemes are 3 threat and solo, so we can easily clear those with this card. Phase Disruption is a really cool 2-cost event that can only be played in Intangible that confuses an enemy, and then you can choose an attachment on an enemy with a hero action or a response and discard that attachment. Really excellent removal that is not super prevalent in Marvel Champions at all. Like there's Sunfire and a couple other cards, but like this is one of the, I think maybe the first thing that allowed us to remove different attachments from the villains. I love this card. I think it's really fun. And we also get confused, which is pretty hype. The last card in this kit is Solar Gem, which is a 2-cost upgrade. Gives Vision Aerial and generates a wild resource. Amazing resource generator, and Aerial keeps getting more and more relevant as the game progresses. Solar Gem, no qualms whatsoever with Solar Gem. Fantastic card. Let's talk about Vision's cost curve. It's a pretty decent cost curve. It's a 1.8 per card, which is nothing too crazy. The nice thing about him being on the higher side of average, and just like if we're thinking about like a seesaw, he is kind of just right in the middle on the higher side of average, is that he is built-in resource generators with Solar Gem. He's an Avenger, so he has access to Quinn Carrier, and then he has 11 superpower traded cards in his kit, which makes Def Focus an easy include here. And so while he does have technically a higher than average cost curve, he has so many resource generators and so many restricted resource generators that he can run, making his kit feel fairly inexpensive. Another gray card that he likes to run is Reboot, which came in his kit. It's a 1-cost event to ready a friendly android character and heal 1 damage from it. This can be Vision. You are a friendly android character, but let's be honest, I'm mostly readying Vivian because she's awesome, and those are epic stats. So usually I'm readying Vivian here, but I do run Reboot in a lot of my Vision decks. Last thing I want to talk about in this section, while they aren't basic cards, I do want to call out the form changing cards. So things like Surprise Strike or Perseverance, because when we change mass form, we are considered changing form and it can hit the triggering condition for these cards, making it very easy to justify running these cards because you don't have to be switching from Alter Ego to Hero in order to hit that triggering condition. We can draw those cards in Hero and then hit it by switching our mass form and then throwing 4 damage with a Surprise Strike. So I like all the form changing cards. I'm typically running those unless I'm building a very specific strategy where I'm building for one of the mass forms, and those are fun, but probably not his best strategies. Let's talk about the aspects for visions. Now we're going to rank these in terms of worst to best in, and when we get to my favorite one, I will call that out. But in fourth place, we have protection. Green is tough for vision because he already has a lot of ways to mitigate damage already in his kit, especially with the intangible side. The nice thing about protection is that vision has pretty great thwarting potential already, so we can offset that weakness in green. But since we can't defend an intangible, we get cut off from a lot of things that protection is really strong in. Now we can run energy barriers and other damage mitigation, but in true solo, I found that chump blocking and using vision's own damage mitigation is enough, and we can use other aspects to complement his kit more effectively than protection. In third place, we have Justice. Like we just mentioned, he has a good bit of thwarting in his kit, so I think this is probably his best multiplayer aspect, but staying in intangible and letting Vivian thwart for 3 while you thwart for 2 allows you to protect yourself enough and manage threat for the whole table. But yellow for solo kind of feels overkill in the damage, or in the thwart mitigation realm, because Vision is already so good at it. So yellow is piling onto a strength that he's already good at, which means that it's probably going to be pretty good for multiplayer. In second place, I have aggression. Now, aggression, I want to say 2 words. Bring it. Well, I guess that's 1 word. That's 2 words. I meant 4 words. Bring it and boot camp. So Vision can handle thwarting and sit in intangible and let the allies do the damage. Because we can collect minions, and Vision, the intangible minion collector, is one of Brant's from Step Into the Portal's probably my favorite deck from him. You just sit in intangible form, collect minions, play Bring It, which draws you a number of cards equal to the minions engaged with you. And since most minions in the game, or at least a lot of the swarm minions in the game, have 2 or less attack, you never take damage from them. And then you can just farm them for cards, and then use cards like Boot Camp to pump your allies, because while you're an intangible, you cannot attack, but your allies still can. So now we can run just a huge number of allies into the villain or into those bigger minions while we're using Bring It to help pay for all of those big allies. Vision handles thwarting, let allies do the damage. Honestly, this is my favorite way to play him and one of my favorite decks in the entire game. I love the Troop Commander archetype. I really enjoy commanding allies and using my hero to defend and protect those allies rather than chump blocking. While chump blocking may be stronger, I enjoy protecting the allies more just as a playstyle type thing. And so this is one of my favorite ways to play Vision and one of my favorite kind of ideas or archetypes to play in the entire game. And then let's just say he can get aerial with the Solar Gem. So if you want, you can run Hone Technique, you can run Dive Bomb, you can clear the way for an easy win. And what I've done before is just sit in intangible, pick up all the minions, flip, Dive Bomb, clear 5-6 minions. Hall of Heroes allows you to then flip down, recur Vivian, draw 6 cards. Yeah, it's aggression's really good, but his best aspect is leadership. Vivian is so amazing. Being able to recur her over and over and over again will have a huge impact on the game. And while you can do this in any aspect with 616 Hickory Branch Lane, leadership just opens the doors to do it more consistently and in both hero and alter ego form. You can combine that with the tankiness of Vision being able to protect his allies, and you can run the really effective Voltron strategies and just kind of manage threats or damage or do really whatever you want. Leadership with Vision is incredibly powerful. Now, when we look at how the community voted, and this is kind of fun to me, the community and I were the opposite. We lined up the exact opposite. They had leadership in last place, protection in first place. I'm not 100% sure what happened. I'm kind of curious, and I would love to hear your all thoughts. If you voted for, not what I was thinking, let me know in the comments, because I'm curious, because I really do want to know, and how we're so off on that is kind of intriguing. They also rated him a B tier hero, and I think I'm going to agree with him here and keep him right where he was in my ring rank video in the middle of the pack of B tier. Vision can be a ton of fun. The puzzle of flipping between intangible and dense form is a great time. I love that he can just ignore a ton of minions in this game while being an intangible and then flip up and dive bomb his way to victory. It's just such satisfying gameplay. Vivian is one of the best signature allies in the game, and having a way to recur her over and over is just another great tool that Vision has at his disposal. He has a lot of answers to a lot of things and can be very, very puzzly, both in gameplay and in deck building. In multiplayer, Vision is still a very solid hero. I should have said dense there. No, that sounds weird. Anyways, in multiplayer, he's still a very good hero. He can protect himself pretty well and can do a great job of managing threat. And so you can run threat and also not need to rely on other players at the table protecting you as a Justice player. Having both access to stun and confuse in his kit is really nice, and when in multiplayer you can do some crazy things by like holding minions in place to set up some epic teammate turns. One of my most crazy two-handed decks I've ever played was just him holding a ton of minions and then having Nova just unleash the Nova force and take out like 13 minions. So that's always readying, more resource generators, more card draw. Awesome. All in all, Vision is a great teammate to have around. What do you think about Vision? Let me know down in the comments, and I really do look forward to chatting with you about him. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you around. Peace.